The month of October is recognized as Cybersecurity Awareness Month, and it's a time dedicated to raise awareness about digital security. In my chat with Chibuke Good News, CEO of DuChase, we talk about the cybersecurity landscape globally and what we can do to reduce cybercrime.
So globally, just as technology is developing, cybersecurity is just an industry or sub-industry in the tech space that is also developing. As the people are building solutions to help humanity use technology to solve problems, the bad guys are also innovating. They're also building, looking for loopholes in those solutions that are built and taking advantage of that. And so it is a growing industry. It is very big, almost as big as the technology itself, because for every business, depending on whatever sector you are playing, the security threats are quite enormous, but they are individualistic. Before, we saw cybersecurity to be more of email compromise, but right now, cybersecurity is far more than email compromise. It includes impersonation. There are also recently there's a betting company in Nigeria who was hacked, and all the access to the company were denied, and they were asked to make payments by crypto. And you could see that it's not just taking in people's emails right now, it's more of looking for vulnerabilities in the systems and then taking advantage of that. And in the financial space, it could also be in form of hacking into systems. There's also a rumor of a business that was hacked recently, and a huge withdrawals were done out of that. So the security industry is really evolving, and all these things boil down to how secured is the system. How secured are we from the bad guys? Now, we don't think that people that are doing threats, that are becoming threats in the cyberspace are docile, or they're even as smart as people that are protecting us from that. So as the threats are evolving, the industry, which is the security industry, is also evolving to make sure that if we are transacting on the internet, we are safe. If we are doing everything on the internet, we're safe.
Well, now we know that there have been a number of, efforts by both individuals and organizations to, reduce cybercrime. But why is this still a recurring global issue?
We haven't solved all the technology problems we ever had. In the next, let me say, 3-4 years, we're going to have new dynamics in technology. Now, as technology is evolving, security threats are also evolving. And we're going to also have new threats or new dynamics of threat. For example, if we ever say we're going to solve all the cybersecurity problems, I think that's a tall dream, because there's really no model that is consistent about the security threats. It just changes. And as individuals solve the one that is most prevalent now, tomorrow another one comes up. And that's why you will see that the threats that we had years back have probably been solved, but what we have not solved is the threat that's looking at us in the face. So it's an evolving industry that there's no lasting solution to security. It's just that people have to update their security over and over. Businesses, companies, individuals just have to update their security systems over and over as the dynamics of the threat increases.
Now let's bring this conversation down to Africa and, of course, Nigeria. How serious is the rate of cyber threats we have compared to the rest of the world?
I think for Nigeria, the cyber threat is big, although I wouldn't say ours is the worst globally. But every environment has the dynamics that apply in it. Example, Nigeria has its own dynamics. Those dynamics may not apply in the US, they may not apply in Russia. Now, the threat here is usually around financial crimes. And we haven't had a lot of cases of other impersonation and all that, but the major cyber threats we have had here are around finance. People want to hack into fintechs, people want to hack into banks, people want to hack into people's individual financial information and use that to steal. But for us, Nigeria is far more secure than a number of other countries. Like I said earlier, before you consummate any financial transaction in Nigeria, you have to do OTP, you have to do a number of security checks. But in some countries, you probably need just a card and the card details for that to work. So Nigeria has its challenges, but of course the threat is quite much. And then there's a whole lot industry in Nigeria that is thriving on vulnerabilities in technologies. Now, those vulnerabilities are not vulnerabilities of Nigerian companies, but they are vulnerabilities of global companies. They are not so good about the reputation of Nigeria anyway, but there are a whole lot of people back home that are looking at vulnerabilities in other people's systems and taking advantage of that to enrich themselves.
And as an individual, what do we need to do to ensure we stay secure online?
So for individuals, basic things around your emails, your financial data, your identity theft, and your income. Now, let me look at the email side. On the email, always make sure that you don't use public systems, you don't share devices, and you also make sure that you change your password regularly. So there are these systems, there are these people that kind of harvest passwords and then try to have access. And you know that recently, we have what we call password managers, and people have a lot of data stored on browsers on their systems, and some of these criminals just steal those things and then use it to log into so many things. So always make sure you update your passwords regularly. Also, passwords to your email and your password managers. And then before you do anything on the internet, also be your own, help the security system to also check around to know if you want to put your card on a system, is this system secured? Does this site have a name? Do they have a reputation? Have you interacted with them? Have you do a little finding, a little bit of due diligence before you can do financial transactions? Now that helps you to also guard against being vulnerable. Then, and thirdly is if you want to do financial transactions, always make sure that whatever you're doing has a 3D security. That what I mean is that when you put your password, there's an OTP, and then there are sometimes questions. Now, it is more difficult for a fraudster to get all those details about you. I'm not saying that there are no cases of theft, but there are still, when all this, when you're able to have good password system, you have a good 3D security, you use OTPs and you don't share your pins outside, then it makes you better off. And also as individuals, we should also look out for sites that are secured. You don't do transactions with unknown sites. It's good to explore on the internet, but you're better off doing things on places that you have known for a while. And then the dynamics of security is also changing, and you need to make sure that some of your details are not easily accessible by fraudsters, because fraudsters can assemble your details from your social media to your email to the devices you use, and once they can put together that, they can use that to impersonate you. They don't necessarily need to take money from your account, but they can impersonate you and use your details to create an account somewhere and be committing fraud there. And once they have moved the money or they move money out of there, they can log off. So always make sure that wherever you are putting in your details, you are secured. And if you ever have to share a system, don't share a system where you expose your personal details.
Well, that was such an insightful conversation, Chibuike. Thank you so much for joining us on the program.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.